Welcome back, everybody, to the Florida Band Podcast. This is going to be episode 4, right, Andrew?
Yeah, you know why you're here. You forgot to say it.
Welcome to the Florida Band Podcast. You know why you're here. Hear about Florida Band, I hope.
Let's try that again. I got it. Ready?
Okay.
Welcome back to the Florida Band Podcast, everybody. You know why you're here. My name is Andrew Lopez. I'm the band director at Coniston Middle School in West Palm Beach, Florida.
And I'm Christian Gordon. I'm the band director at West Glades Middle School in Parkland, Florida.
So we apologize if this is not the world's most specific episode. We're actually re-recording this. We tried recording on Friday after school because Christian just started his first week and I just finished my second week, and then it was just awful. Well, I don't know, technology.
It was a great recording, but yeah, the sound, when we listened to the sound, apparently it didn't go well. So
no, it was bad. So we're
gonna try and talk about the same things. Yeah, we're gonna try and talk about the same things, but if our reaction to everything we talk about doesn't seem genuine, that's why, because we've already heard it. We've already talked about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But how was your weekend, man?
Weekend, good, productive. I did have to work at home, which I'm not always a big fan of, but I mean, this year is very different. I gave myself yesterday to sit at the computer and get stuff ready for the following week. I ordered a planner. I feel like at least for the first maybe quarter or so, I might need a planner because there's just so much for that is going through my head, and it's outgrown my to-do list.
Did you is it like a special planner or just like a
It's a teacher planner, but
like the Aaron Condren one?
The what?
Aaron Condren one. What's the one that Kaylin and
I thought about getting that one, but then I saw one similar that was a little cheaper, and I could get it. I got it 1 day shipping, so it's downstairs. I need to go pick it up.
Sure.
The idea with the planner is there are so many things on my to-do list that are number one priorities. I can't seem to, juggle it all.
Like, what do you normally do for your to-do list? Because I just have a book of just notebook paper. As I do it, I'll put to-do list. I'll put that day's date that I start the list, and I'll just write and add items and then cross out items. And then when I get to the bottom of the page, I move everything that hasn't been done yet to the next page and just keep going.
I used to do it that way. I use Google Keep now. So I have categories for all the things that I want to get done. Mm-hmm. And so depending on the item, I'll put it in that category. And I will move different categories up if they're more important. So like the all-state category right now is at the top because all-state auditions are in a month.
And you gotta get all that paperwork in. I get that.
So that's kind of how it works. And then there's also a general to do where it's it doesn't really have a category, but it's usually stuff that it'll take me a day or less to do. Like I can do it in a day, or it's send this email or make this call or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I think it. I tried doing something like that where you divide it up by importance, but what that also means is essentially they're in different, your tasks are in different places. And if everything, you know me, if everything is not directly in front of my freaking face, I'm not gonna do it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's to the point where even just for household reminders, Marissa will actually time when she sends me text messages or reminders so that it's at a time that is convenient for me to knock it out at that moment.
I see.
It's very stressful for someone who's not me.
No, look, you do what you got to do. I had to tell a kid that on Friday he forgot his instrument, even though we decided on Thursday. He's a space cadet, right? We decided on Thursday that Symphonic Band was going to play on Friday. I don't have my instrument. And so, actually, this reminds me of this TikTok I saw. And I sent it to Marissa. I think I sent it to all of you. You can check it out. Mm-hmm. But it's basically this guy's doing a parody about BOA band rehearsal and how typical BOA band directors refer to other drum corps to compare their band to. Right. And so they'll say things like, come on guys, this is gush and go, hydration is for losers, if you want to take a break, join the Cavaliers, things like that.
Ooh. But that's so petty because you're just a band director of some high schoolers.
Well, yeah, some of them just take it way too seriously, but
yeah,
the point, the what I was going to say is he was sitting in his office and he was acting like he was talking to one of his clarinet players, and he goes, "Are you saying that you, a clarinet player, already the most worthless of the instruments in the marching band, forgot your reed?" Hey everyone, Christian here, interjecting. After listening back to the audio of this episode, I realized that I forgot to go back to what I said to that forgetful clarinet student. I told them that I'm forgetful as well, and one way that I remember to do things is writing them down, like I mentioned in this episode, and needing a planner. So I said, is there a way you can write down or set a reminder on your phone so that on Monday you have your clarinet? And they said yes. And I also encouraged them to continue to reminding themselves via agenda or reminders on their phone.
Have I ever told you about my story about the clarinet, the rant that I had in the marching nights? Have I ever told you that story?
I don't think so.
Marissa has brought me paprika chicken. Say hi, Marmar.
Hello.
So I'm gonna eat while I talk and be really gross. So this happened in my senior year. I was in marching nights at UCF, and practice got canceled. And I don't know why. It was like me. Scott was there. Hold on, taking a bite. It's gonna be really hot. Hold on, go full hot. But Danny, leave that in. But so like it's like kind of raining outside. It's kind of drizzling. Juwan was there, and we're just chilling. And I don't know what prompted me to get into the rant, but I just got into this rant about how clarinet is, in fact, the most useless instrument in the marching band field. And there's a reason why in college marching bands, the clarinets always go to the back, because they're not going to hear you anyway. And it doesn't matter that there's 40 clarinets in the marching nights. It doesn't matter. And I look over to my left, and the entire clarinet section was just staring at me.
Wow.
And I had this moment of clarity where I was like, I could apologize, or I could not. And I was like, yeah, you heard me.
You doubled down.
Oh yeah. And then so a bunch of the uniform, leadership was in the clarinet section. So for the rest of that year, I always they would always give, like, whenever I needed new gloves, they would give me the wrong size, or they had it out for me, which understandably so.
Karma.
Well, it was just funny too, because later in that season, we were doing I remember we were doing the Veterans Day show, and we were making the American flag, and the trumpets are in the front on side 2, and in the same line, in our same cover down, the clarinets are in the back field. And I heard a clarinet section leader be like, "All right, everybody, it's time to play loud." And I turn around and be like, "It doesn't matter." And the whole trumpet section would be like, "Yeah." And yeah. So.
Well, anyway, to go full circle, I really got the planner because, I can handle the to-do list. I just need time, but it's causing me to not plan my lessons. And so and also the issue was I usually do a curriculum pacing. And I am either hesitating to, or I'm deciding I'm not going to because COVID, basically. And so yeah. I want to just...
I remember you guys did that last year.
Yeah. And that was the first year we did it because we thought it would be helpful, but we also didn't know what we were getting into. And so some parts of our curriculum we did throw it out after December. So many changing factors, but some things were going faster than we anticipated, like the rhythm charts. But then when we get them in person, turns out it wasn't actually going that fast. And then some things were going a lot slower, like what we would cover in our pass-offs during the book and technique builders and things like that.
Yep.
We're going slower than we thought. So, and now the issue is, I don't know, with quarantines and stuff, how I'm going to adjust when kids miss, or what I'm going to do, and then to get them caught up. And speaking of getting caught up, I hope we can still continue to get our numbers up, because I'm at 55 beginners, and I'd like to get closer to 100, 80 to 100.
Well, that Bring a Friend to Band Day is going to help a little bit.
Yeah, which we talked about on
Friday.
10 when we first...
Yeah, if you can grab... We'll talk about it again. But if you can grab 10, that'll be a win.
Christian here again. One more interjection. I also realized that we didn't go back to talking about Bring a Friend to Band Day that Andrew brought up. We remembered to record it this past Friday, but then when we had to re-record, we forgot to touch base on it because it just didn't feel natural. So I wanted to let you know what that is. It's an idea I stole from a band director in Florida, Michael Antman. that encourages students that are already signed up for band to bring a friend so that they can have the band experience in class. We can't necessarily do it during the school day, but we set up a time in the morning before first period for band students and also orchestra students to bring their friends to the band hall, which is also the orchestra hall, to see what band is like, see if they are willing to sign up. This is how we're hoping that we can get our numbers up for this year before we're too far into the school year. What we're going to do is some rhythm counting, talk about how they can be part of the band's rebuild and quote-unquote glow up. Bring some donuts for them to have at the end and just have a good time. Play some music in the background, things like that. Oh yeah, one is a win, but like I will stop worrying about our numbers when we hit at least 80. At least 80.
Sure.
And we're at 55.
Yeah, so. And I'm at exactly 80, which is normally 150, but whatever.
Same. A lot of the schools around here, kind of like what we hear about in Texas, I'm just assuming a lot of the band programs there have large beginner classes between 100 and 150.
It is what it is. Well, so we can just kind of dive in at this point where...
Well, let's start off with your first week because you started last Tuesday. So you've already done 9 days of school.
That's right. So, and on the first day, the superintendent came to my room. And so, like, it was, other than him and the school board members, it was cool because the school board members that came with him, one of them is Alex Ayala. She's a friend of mine from UCF. She and actually were in the marching band together. And she's on the school board in charge of my area of the district. And then the other person was Mrs. Whitfield. Sorry. She's actually a band parent of mine. Her daughter's an 8th grader trumpet player. So when I saw them with him, that was really, really assuring and like really nice. It was just wild because he came in, it was like the Friday before, right? I'm talking to my principal because my principal made the announcement that the superintendent was coming and all the teachers were like, oh my God. So I walk into his office and I'm like, hey man, he's not coming to the band room, right? And it's like that Anakin Skywalker meme where it's like, he's just kind of looking at Padme and it's like, and he goes, yeah, the superintendent's coming. He's not coming to the band room, right? And he just kind of stares at me with smiles like, And I'm like, he's not coming to the band room, right? And he goes, I don't know. We'll see. And I'm like, I hate you. This is a horrible place to work. I like, which is not true. But so it's like 11 o'clock, and I get a text from my friend Alex, who's on the school board member, Ms. Ayala, and she says, hey, I'll see you at 12:30. And I'm just like, no. So they come in, and when they came in, you saw that picture on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I was that. Because it got posted on the main Palm Beach Twitter. I was in the middle of my TRL lesson with my beginners.
TRL is teaching rhythm logically.
That's right, sorry. And I was in the middle of that. And when they came in, I was like notating on the board. And that's when you saw that big 4 crossed out, when it should be a little 4.
Yeah, I totally called you out on that on Facebook.
No, it's fine.
Like a good student.
Like what happened, and I was like, oh God. So I wasn't paying attention. And then when he came in, my shoe was off. And it was just on the podium. And if you look at that picture on Twitter, if you zoom in to the podium, like I'm like maybe 5 feet away from the podium, you can actually see my shoe just sitting there. So I had no shoe on. And because I was going over the counting and the pulsing of the words and all that stuff, I took my mask off like briefly. So I walk in, he walks in, principal walks in, AP, 2 school board members. And I have 1 shoe on and no mask. And like the kids are screaming because they're screaming while they count, and like it's like the engagement, the lesson itself was fine, but it was just really, really like petrifying. And then the superintendent kind of gives me like a thumbs up. He's like, yeah, man, you're doing it. I'm like, thank you.
So what's with the mask situation at your school? You were able to take it off?
So I mean, it's a mask mandate, so you have to keep it on unless you're outside. And I think that it might even have changed. But like I'll take it off very quickly occasionally to demonstrate, like if I'm talking about vowel shape, I'll show my face. When I'm talking about how to take, like when we talk about breathing, talk about whoa breath, I'll take it off and show them my...
I'm scared to do that at my school.
Well, it's very, very sparse. So I'll take it off, I'll say my thing, I'll put it back on, and I'll rehearse. And we talked about in the first episode, I have that microphone. So the muffling of my voice and like the projection of my voice isn't really a problem. So I don't need to take it off to project, but it'll be very like, I'll take it off here for like a second, say my piece, put it back on. I'll take it over here, say my piece, take it back off. During fittings on Friday or on Thursday, when all the kids were playing and it was super chaotic, if I had to tell a kid something, I would take it off really quick so you could see my face, and then I put it back on. But in that moment when, Superintendent Burt came in, I was just like, oh God. And then when Marissa told me that it was on the Twitter page, I was like, oh no. And I saw it, and it was me with no mask, and I was like, no.
But you didn't get in trouble. You're fine.
No, it was cool. Like, I actually got a really, really nice call from my AP, who was there. She called me at the end of the day, and she was like, hey, Superintendent Brooke was really impressed with you being able to, cover content, and your kids seem so happy, and like, it's such a happy music room, and we're just really glad to have you on board. And I was like, thank you. It's so nice. Oh my God. Because they normally because every time I talk to that AP, she's always just like, hey, your paperwork's late and you suck. And I'm like, you know what?
Huh.
You're right. But so it was really nice. It was just a really nice conversation, and he had a good time. But other than that, my first day was just kind of off. I don't know why, but like my delivery and just kind of like my security and my routines and everything was a little weird. The routines themselves for the kids were fine, and the execution of day one was fine. But when I came back for the rest of that week, I was much, much stronger. Like I was able to we were able to my symphonic band, our top band was able, which is I call the wind ensemble, but they were able to, we started playing day two. And then the symphonic band, which is the second band, didn't play till Thursday, because the first day was just routines, and then the second day with the second band was just rhythms. I was like, let's learn how to read, and it was just the kind of like the heart to heart, and you probably had this too, where I was like, to the concert band, I was like, so we're gonna go back to January of beginning band. Is that okay? And everyone just nodding their head, go, yeah, that's fine.
Don't even ask if it's okay. It's necessary. But you just gotta tell them why.
But you know what I mean? Like, it was just, like, that's how I presented the conversation. Because I was like, and they all got it. I was like, half of you were at home, and it's okay to admit that you can't read. Raise your hand, and the whole band's like, yep. And I'm like, all right, let's figure this out. So since then we've been playing, and they've gotten better and blah blah blah. But for my first week, that was basically just that, teaching. We got to like chart 1.5 with the beginners. We were talking about instrument demonstrations, and the Jupiter Join the Band kit was really, really successful, getting the kids to start playing. The beginners start playing on head joints by Friday. It was great. After that first day where things were just weird and special, I was able to kind of get back into my groove. But what about you? You only had 3 days.
I only had 3 days. But that's okay. And it was actually nice because I was able to watch you and hear about what you were dealing with, so I knew what was coming my way. But I felt very strange and out of place as well on the first day. In fact, probably I would say all 3 days. By Friday, I was feeling a lot better, and that's when I knew I needed to get a planner to kind of get things going, because I would be sitting there getting stuff done, and then the kids would start coming in, and I'd go, I don't even know what I'm going to cover today.
Yeah.
And so I just need to have an idea, but it was cool. I had a stroke of, I won't say brilliance, but I had a really good idea, and it worked. And what I did was, the day before the first day, we had scheduled pickup, and our boosters were awesome and organized our table in the cafeteria auditorium, which is rather large. It's able to fit at least 1,000 people, but the table was nicely decorated with nice tablecloths with our logo on it, and we brought one of our TVs from home, which is like 50 inches, and put it on the table, and we streamed our virtual concert from last year and our recruiting video on repeat. We had some candy out there. We had balloons. In the letters BAND, B-A-N-D, propped up. We also had a nice backdrop that had like a musical looking background behind us. And we were the only table in there that was like putting on a show other than athletics, but they just basically had yeah, thank you. They had a tent that said athletics and had like Westglade's logos and pictures on it and stuff. But other than that, we actually put the creativity behind it. So shout out to my amazing boosters. So what I did though, I took that stuff and I decorated the band room with it the next day. And then I took our speaker We have a
What about
really
TV?
tall. Well, the TV I brought back home. Gotta watch my Boy Meets World, you know.
That's word.
And we decorated the band room. We put the balloons up high so people could see. We put the tablecloths out by the podium, and I left the candy out too. And I put our it's a very tall wireless speaker. It's rather loud. I pointed it outside into the hallway so that when I'm holding the door open for students, there's music bumping into the hallway. It's like really positive sounding pop, electro, dance party music, like really uplifting. Every chord is major except the minor 6, you know.
Black Eyed Peas, but not as terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty generic. Sure. You know, it was one of those 1 hour videos on YouTube, and I just kept it going almost all day. So like kids would come in and I'd open the door and they see a nice decorated room. The seats were set up nice and spaced out. They come in, they go, whoa, you know, like this is band class. And then their friends would walk by or other kids would walk past the room. They go, that's band?
Yeah.
Oh, and I also had a poster out in the hallway too, plus a sheet of paper taped to the wall. And on the poster had our logo, but the sheet of paper had a QR code, and it said, don't have band or orchestra on your schedule? Scan the QR code and we'll get you signed up. And so I had some kids over the course of 3 days of doing this stop and scan or ask how they could join or ask if it's too late. There were some of the kids that are already in the class, their friends would be like, wait, I want to take that, or how can I sign up, you know? So they bring their friends to walk by. They just like being in the vicinity of the band room door simply because of the music and being able to look into the room, because I would just hold the doors wide open, you know, because I want them to see and I want them to hear. And then I would take that energy into class. And so I got the kids really excited regardless of, you know, their grade level, beginners or intermediate or advanced. I sold them that their legacy right now is going to be helping us find our former glory. And
that's exactly what I said.
And I said they're going to be part of our glow up. And that was the lingo that really got them into it. And then at the end of each class, I passed out candy on the way out the door.
Nice.
Even at the end of the day, I had some random kids trying to get candy. I was like, band students only, sorry.
Ooh.
But you can join. And so I would point at the picture. So.
Nice. Yeah, freaking I try to hype it up, you know, once we get class started and just word spreads. But I always try to it's interesting because I know we talked about it on the first episode. Like for me, the vibe is always I'll dim the lights and let's just get chill, like blasting lo-fi, and it's just it's just a cool space. But that was really, really smart, dude. Bravo on the energy pickup.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, on Friday I remembered to talk to the concert band like I told you this past Friday when we recorded the first time. I told them specifically because I told them to raise their hand if you meet the following criteria. You were online all last year. You took beginning band online. You're a 7th grader. Things like that.
Yeah.
Basically categories that signify that they're behind.
Exactly.
Okay. And I said, look, that's the majority of the class. So for this first quarter, we're going to be reviewing. But once the review period is over, we need to start cooking.
Exactly.
Because you deserve a real band experience, and we can't waste any time.
That's right.
If COVID has taught us anything, it's that time is precious. And so let's get things going.
That's exactly what I said. I kind of laid out that calendar with both bands. I was like, because the 8th graders that were in the 8th graders that were in 7th grade last year that were in person were on fire with the top band, on fire. And so I walk in and I handed the kid, we hand the kids Technique Builder 3, and some of those 8th graders are like, Technique Builder 3? We finished on Technique Builder 4 last year. I'm like, yeah, you did. You know what I mean? And so and for both bands, and then with the concert band, I just brought them back to Technique Builder 2. I'm like, we're just going to finish this right. We're going to finish this correctly and then move on from there. And it was the kind of thing I told the guys, I told the whole band, I was like, the goal is, if we spend all of September reviewing, fine. I don't care. That's okay. What's important is we get everybody to a general a general consensus of ability, and then guys, we are gonna fly, and we're gonna fly so fast, and it's gonna be awesome, and you're gonna be ready. Get ready for the adventure that we're about to have. It was very much the same spiel of just like, you got like, we ended COVID with constant band at its height, but that was the height at the time. I said we're gonna find the new heights. We're gonna find the new we're gonna find the new plateaus. We're gonna climb higher and show everybody that music can't slow any of us down, which is very, very sappy and not normally my style, but absolutely. No, those were conversations.
Well, I'm finding more and more every year that being more transparent with them and treating them like adults, even though we know they're not, but treat them that way anyway so that they think that you think that they are.
Yeah.
I know that's some crazy psychology, right? But they really appreciate that. So
absolutely.
I told you what I said to the concert band. I also told them this, and I learned this from Alex Kaminsky whenever he would struggle with his 9th grade band. He said, I have to push them harder. I work harder in that class than all my other classes simply because that's the future top band.
Yep.
And so I told them that too. And I said, if I'm hard on you, it's because I know that you have a bright future ahead of you. And so, and all I'm doing is getting you ready for it so that when the time comes,
you can take it.
All we need to do is make music and have fun.
That's right.
It's not going to be a struggle. And then with the top band, I said, look at all these 8th graders. And there's literally like, there's 55 kids in that group. I'm pretty sure 44 of them or something like that is 8th grade. And the rest are 7th graders. I said, 7th graders, I'm treating you like you're 8th graders in this class, so just be ready.
Yep.
And so we're just going to be cooking.
Yep.
And I said, like, they're going to be at the forefront of getting kids back into this program.
Yep.
Because, that's where all the talent is and where all the enthusiasm is. And so they're excited for that.
Heck yeah, man. Like, it was, and that energy, I agree, that energy was able to carry into the second week. Because with the second week, on Friday was instrument reveal day, and which is different from the draft. So and it's funny because everything that we talked about in the last episode did not apply to this year.
The fitting episode? Yeah,
it was both the fitting and the draft versus the placement episode. Everything that I was talking about didn't really apply because I had to change it all for COVID. So what we did for the fitting on Thursday was, and by the time we got to Thursday, all of the students, all the beginners had that kit for a week, and actually I let them take it home, and we just used it every day, and every day we covered a different instrument. And so when going into the fitting, all of the kids already knew what they were good at and what they weren't as good at, and where their potential was and where their comfort level was and everything. So the ability to have all of that data before the fitting was gold, because most kids did well on most things. Like, there were more high ratings than across the board than there were, mixed ratings. And what that allowed the kids to do was every kid was just like, I'm good at everything, so I'm just going to pick my favorite because I've practiced already. And it was like, yeah, it was great. And what we did that was different was Music Man, instead of bringing in a staff of people, they just brought in one person. And for me, I got really lucky. They brought in Bill Castillo, which was like, yes. And so when Bill came in, and for those who don't know, Bill Castillo, he's now a retired band director. He was at Omni in Palm Beach County. Sorry, he's in Boca for like 30 years, and the dude's a god. So he came in, and he and I were working together. Basically, what it was he would run through the spiel of each instrument, and then he would he would have all the kids play their mouthpieces all at once, and then he and I would walk around the room and one by one listen to kids and give them a rating. Instead of it, what I didn't like and what I hope, like, I didn't mind how the fitting was executed, and we'll see how effective it was. But the only thing that I would change from what they currently did, like that new system, was instead of them doing a numbers rating, like we talked about before, it was like 5 is the best and 1 is the worst. Mm-hmm. They did it was smiley face, neutral face, frowny face, which is much more vague. Mm-hmm. And originally, the original plan was that the students were supposed to be the ones to rate themselves. And I heard that a couple days before my fitting. I was like, I don't like that at all. So I get it, because, the idea is safety for the clinician, not getting in their face and hearing all that stuff. So when I asked Bill if he was comfortable with that, he said yes. And I was like, thank God. Otherwise, if he wasn't, I would have just done it all myself anyway.
Right.
But I heard that idea from Christina Nichols, who's the band director at Wellington Landings. She had her fitting the day prior, and so she told me, she was like, that's what I came up with, just to make sure that, you know, we have a little bit more of a controlled result as opposed to chaos. Like, you really can trust the kids at that point, but you know what I mean? Like, just in case any kid's like, yeah, I got a frowny face, but I'm just gonna, like, I can't make a sound, but I want this instrument, so I'm just gonna circle it, you know what I mean? So to avoid that variable, Bill and I went through each kid and we gave them our ratings ourselves. And like, it's Bill Castillo. So he was like, do you want to double check the ratings that I gave? I was like, dude, no. I was like, what?
Band director for 30 years, right?
Yeah, I was
recently retired.
Yeah. I was like,
he knows what's going on.
Exactly. So I was like, whatever you give them, man. Yes, that's cool. So what that allowed us to do, we split it up. So with every class, we got through all the instruments quickly, and then we had like 10 minutes left in some classes. So we let kids do redos. If you're using the Jupiter fitting kit, on the low brass mouthpiece, because it's like a plastic stem with like a slightly larger rubber cup, so it gives you the deeper tone and the deeper pitch. I learned that if you are loose enough and you have enough air, you can produce a tuba octave sound. So I was able to find my tuba players, and there were a couple of kids like it seemed like they were doing it, because like the baritone and trombone cup and the trumpet cup and French horn cup were just too tight, and you could just kind of tell in the sound, you know what I mean? So so I would grab those like 3 or 4 kids per class, and I would hand them a clean tuba mouthpiece and be like, try this, and they go ball. And it was really funny because Bill and I walked past this one girl who did it, and he just looked at her, his eyes got wide, and he was like, so you're a tuba player? And she goes, uh-huh. And then he wrote in like all caps tuba and circled it. It was funny. And we did that for a couple kids throughout all the classes. So even though the fitting was not what it normally is, out of 80 kids, I still ended up with 8 tubas, which is great. So hopefully they all work out.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, thanks. Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope it. Yeah, it sounds very different. There's no way that like you can possibly predict how this is gonna go. Nope. I mean, I hope it goes really well.
Me too.
Because the only thing I would worry about is the fact that playing the mouthpiece and the instrument, especially as a beginner, is very different.
Exactly.
And so,
I'm banking on the fact that I gave them the kits early, so that way we eliminated the possibility of like a biff fitting, like, you know what I mean, when a kid biffs it, where they show up and they're a god on trumpet on the fitting, and then turns out their embouchure is trash. By practicing for a week, that variable is gone, because every kid has been working on those kits for a week, whether they're doing it at home or only in class. Like, they're fully aware of what their capabilities are. So I think that eliminated that variable, which I thought was awesome. So for those if you're going to do your fitting that way in the future at all, I recommend getting the kit and giving it to the kids beforehand, and not just using the kit the day of, so that way you can get a more accurate result. And the kids can have just a better understanding, because it's like they're not going to get offended by it. Like, the kids are going to like what they're good at anyway. So it works out. But so that was how the fitting was, which means that the fitting was completely different. And then instead of doing the draft, because just the data that I got was different, what I did instead was I did placements, and because in my head I was like, well, all of these kids are doing really, really well on all of these, so a draft is just kind of like whatever. It's not the same as it normally is, so might as well do a different experiment in general. So I just did placements, and most of the kids got placed on their first choice, which was awesome, and I still ended up with balanced instrumentation, and it was pretty close to the habits book, and it was pretty close to the FBA best practices, maybe off by just a little bit here or there. So I was
I looked at it. It was good.
I was super happy about
I can't remember if percussion was on there.
Percussion was on there. I got 5.
Okay.
And all 5 of them were like, yes. And I did the Danny Suarez method, and it worked like a charm, because it was very awkward and quiet in that room. And it worked out fine. But so the way I did my placement was I just obviously I decided on it the night before, and I stuffed their folders, but I still did the folder trick. So what I did is, when the kids came in, I said, everybody stop, go to the back of the room. So all the kids were just in the back of the room, and I had them, without saying anything or tell them why I was doing it, I had them seated in their sections, And I said, when everyone sat down, I was like, all right, guys, where you're sitting right now, that's your section. And they were like, oh, what? And like, and it was funny because like, you know, there are certain friends that were paired together because it just kind of worked out that way. And they're like, oh my God, we're both in the same section. And they're like, wait, what was your top choice? I don't remember what. And so the hype was there. And then I called them up one by one and gave them their folder with their section name on it. And they were like, yeah, it was cool. It was very hype. And I didn't make too much of a pageant, like too much pageantry out of it, because I needed to get to the spiel of how to run instruments and blah blah blah.
Right.
So it was very quick. It only took me like 5 minutes per class, but each kid was like mega hype, and it was really really cool. It made me maybe contemplate how I want to do things in the future, because the draft has worked for years, but this goes to show that there really is no right answer. There are wrong answers out there, but if episode 3 is titled Instrument Draft versus Placement, they're both right. They both really do work well, as long as you've got good data.
Well, you need to, I guess, see yours through.
Right, exactly.
See it through, my boy, and then so that way
you're not wrong.
The only thing I would have suggested if I had known it was going to happen so quickly for you was an ear test and or. What was the other thing? There was one. The physical attributes. Like how last year we did our. We asked students about their lip size and their teeth and.
We talked about that.
Things like that.
Yeah, we talked about that. We didn't do it.
I would have liked to have had that data though next to their results from the fitting.
Sure. No, that's fair. I don't really make any quantitative data of that. I just kind of explain it, and the kids themselves, like just looking at the kid's face because they pull their mask down, I'm like, yeah, you're not a flute player. And we just kind of move on, and the kids are like, I guess not. But no, it worked. You're right. I do have to wait and see, but overall, it was a good experience. And I moved so quickly because, like it was like you said earlier, like we don't know what's going on with quarantines. Exactly. And we don't know what the future holds. So I'm like, I want to get them playing and get used to the routine, the expectations ASAP. So that way, if we have to go back to hell, then I can retain as many kids as I possibly can, because they love the class and they understand it and they want to do well. Hopefully that works.
Yeah.
No clue. But you know what I mean? Like we'll find out. But yeah, like it's been a good time, and it was just trying to get ready for the coming weeks. I will tell you that last year, so how you and I both do that like projector, right? We have the projector and the presentation on Google Slides, and you have like the agenda and blah 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 and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I fell off that wagon hard last year. So, and what I figured out was I just didn't like making the new slides over and over. So what I did is I have a presentation that's 6 slides, and I'll just drag the slides around depending on the day and then edit quickly. So it used to take me like 30 minutes to make the slides for the day. It takes me like 2 seconds. 2 seconds now.
Yeah, we use the same slides. We just edit them to match the day.
Exactly. So I learned that now, and so I kind of picked that up on my own. But so it's been, and like the kids, I asked the kids, talking about transparency, I was like, does anybody have any ideas for these slides? And kids asked, like, let's do a quote of the week. I used to do a thing a couple years ago called Section of the Day, where it's just the section in that class that I thought did above how they normally perform. I usually give them Section of the Day, and Section of the Day gets to leave first or whatever. And so they were like, you should leave a spot for Section of the Day, and then at the end of class, type it into the projector so that we can all see it. Which was cool, because
Kaylin actually put a timer on hers on Friday,
like a timer widget.
Yeah, a timer YouTube video on her slides.
I just pull up a timer on another tab if I can figure out that hyperlink situation.
Well, that way the slide is still there with all the information they need for the day plus the timer.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be down for that.
So I thought that was pretty brilliant.
I might talk to her about that, because she's always good with like that hyperlink stuff, which makes us sound like we're complete idiots. But
I don't know what you mean by she's always good with that. I don't know what else you're referring to.
Well, in terms of how but
it was just a good idea she came up with.
She's always been really good with technology and sheets, and because her life is a spreadsheet, and and like docs. You know what I mean? Like in terms of incorporating like really creative hyperlinks and creative widgets into like a lot of her digital media presentations. Like she's really good at that stuff. Marmar is too. I've never sought out her help because I'm an idiot, but that's fine. But yeah, what are you looking forward to for your week 2, your first full week?
Hopefully, concert band can get into some sort of playing. We have to do some instrument switches this week because I only have one tuba and one percussionist. I ended up having 2 saxophone players move in from other places, and so I thought I was going to need to do some saxophone switches, but now I can just keep them all on clarinet and maybe get a couple bass clarinets. I want to say I need oboe, but I really don't. So
Right.
I have 4 oboes in my top group.
Oh wow.
And so as long as they're recruited into the high school band, I'm not too worried about them needing oboes.
Right.
And I've got a bassoon already. What else do I need? I have 3 horns. Euphoniums. I don't really need euphoniums, but if a kid wants to switch to euphonium, as long as it's from like trumpet or trombone, should be fine.
Right.
So
who needs euphoniums?
that's what I'm looking forward to. What I'm not looking forward to, but what we're gonna do is start having kids in the mornings for their audition help for Allstate.
Oh, right.
And because that always sneaks up on me, because I always feel like September's far away, but we literally start school halfway through August every year.
When are your auditions?
I think that
ours are on the 18th.
It's like the 2nd or 3rd week of September.
Okay,
yeah,
because the second week is September.
So either
11th, and that's just
it's either
tasteless.
so it's either it's either 3rd or 4th. We got the date yesterday. It's the 25th.
Oh,
so
nice.
That's
You have a month.
Yeah, 1 month. And then we got to get a new drum set for the jazz band.
Dude,
so we might be able to start marching band soon.
I gotta get you the specs for mine, because the jazz drum set that I have, I got 2 years ago. Music Man hooked me up with it. It's like it's super lightweight, and it's a really, really great shell, but the rigs themselves, like the actual hardware, is durable as all get out. Like you could, just to prove it to me, the manager at the time, he picked up the drum set and then like the bass drum, and then put it overhead and threw it on the ground, and nothing happened.
Huh, okay. Yeah, send me the specs, because
nice.
We have half a drum set. It has a hi-hat, but it doesn't have any other cymbals.
Like no ride or crash.
And so I need to know, which ride or crash to get, and then also the stands. And then I need a brand new drum set. So we're gonna have like a practice drum set and then like a performance drum set, probably.
Sure. No, I gotta find those specs. It was super fun. It was really easy to build too. The heads that come with it are super high quality, and the just the rig itself, like the metal stands and the hardware, is very durable, but also super, super light. So when you have that like 6, because there's always a tall drum player and there's always a small one. The small one can pick it up. It's fine. It worked out super well, but I'll get that for you. Are you doing? When are you cleared to start doing after school stuff again?
Well, we do before school usually, because we start at 9:15.
That's right.
So, but we're already clear to do it.
Okay, yeah, we have to wait for aftercare to start.
He said to go about your year as if you're good.
Right.
You know what I mean? The only thing is you have to wear a mask.
Sure. That's whatever.
And then if you get COVID, obviously you got to quarantine, things like that.
Exactly.
But like field trips, they didn't say no to field trips. They haven't said no to, before and after school. Like soccer tryouts already started last week, and so we're going. So I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah. You know what? I've heard from around the county that like field trips for Palm Beach County are TBD, but you're right. They're doing sports teams, which means like one team has to get from one place to the other somehow, and all of those are field trips. So
yeah,
I'm gonna dig into that, but just because I don't know why.
You can at least do before and after school.
Exactly.
Stuff.
Exactly. So we'll be starting jazz band in probably 2 weeks, and like we're gonna do. I stole it from you guys, the Wolfpack band. We're gonna do. Yeah. I'm calling it the Blue Marlin Band, where it's specific. It's not only is it for those advanced beginners, but it's also for any veterans who want to add a secondary or tertiary instrument. Just for and giggles. So and like everyone's like, everyone's like, when are we doing the Blue Marlin Band? I was like, when my life is together.
Well, I mean, you need beginners first.
Exactly. So I told them,
You know?
I told them we're probably going to start that in like the second quarter, because
We usually start it after winter break.
Right, because it'll be the kids who fly through level 0 and start flying through level 1 quickly. Those are the kids you're gonna call on.
Yes,
so we'll see.
We because we wait for marching band to stop, and then we replace marching band with that.
Right. Oh, that's right, because you guys do parades and stuff.
Yeah,
Sure.
just one, and then universal.
You do parade and stuff.
Yeah,
Got it.
just parade, really.
Yeah.
But we also use it to the marching band is the one that plays the pop music, and it's also a large group, and so a lot of kids want to do it because they play that type of music, and then I take them on field trips to recruit. But now that responsibility is going to be split with the jazz band, depending on if I can get them to that level this year. If not, definitely next year.
Sure. But yeah, I mean, it's looking ahead, man. I'm excited to. I've been debating whether or not I want to pass out music to the concert band, despite them clearly needing that remedial time. But I don't. While obviously spending 90%, if not 80% of your class time on fundamentals, I want to try and get them, if like maybe the middle school band night music for the high school, or just getting them like some 0.5s in front of them just to get them reading more concert music, because for the beginners, the only concert they ever had and the only sheet music they ever read was at the end of the year last year. So I'm trying to make a point to just get the literacy there, and I'm also making sure that this week is going to be my first sight reading Friday, which I stole from Larry Shane, I think so, where he does it, and it's just we just sight read every week, period. Every week is sight reading, so that way we don't have to front load it or do anything special at all come MPA time, because they're just like, oh yeah, sight reading, whatever. And they're called like the beginning band books from Ann McGinty and John Edmondson, where it's like there's like there's like 8 books and there's like 15 pieces per. I did the math. There's enough pieces in there once per week for like 3 years. So you could starting from 7th grade, or like starting from the end of 6th grade on to through 8th grade, these kids, you could cycle it through per band so that the kids never read the same piece twice. Yeah.
One thing I'm really excited about is we're able to do our breathing exercises again as long as we go outside. And thankfully our band room connects right to outside, and it's a pretty nice area, grassy area with shade. And so the only thing is that there's like ants. But the beginners started getting in the routine of doing that at the beginning of class.
Mr. Gordon, I'm allergic to ants.
No, but we did have some kids that, were blowing up their balloon out of turn, or were talking too much, and I would send them back inside until we finish. But we'll get back into it, and then the older kids are gonna have to do the same. They know it's coming. I just ran out of breathing tubes. It was priority beginners for the breathing tubes this week. Right. And so I went into Home Depot and got some more. So I'll be passing those out tomorrow.
Yeah, it was I was debating going outside, because we also connect to like right to the parking lot, so we could easily just stand outside and call it a day. But I'm just a fat lazy nerd, and I'm like, you know what? Because I posted on the FBA District 14 page for Facebook, and I was like, does anybody have any breathing recommendations at all? If we're even like cleared or comfortable with it. And Larry and Craig Denny from Loggers Run both suggested, they were like, just have the kids do breathing through their instruments, which isn't the world's most ideal exercise, but at least they're still doing breathing. And
well, for brass it's great, but when we talked about it on Friday, you and I was really intrigued the way you talked about woodwinds, but like brass drum corps already do that.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I really like going between open valves and first position, between all the valves down and 7th position. But what do you do with the woodwinds?
So the woodwinds, what I do is the clarinets, all the reed instruments take their reed off. I don't have any double reeds, so like it's fine. If I had a double reed, I would just make sure that they I would have maybe
just be careful.
Yeah, but for the reed instruments, the single reeds, they take their reed off, so they're just, and then they put enough mouthpiece in their mouth to where the hole in the front of the mouthpiece is covered, so no air is escaping. And then for clarinets, it's thumb 1 2 3 1 2 3, and then bottom they play low. They cover the E flat key. So that way with no register key, obviously. So that way the instrument's at its longest, and then they blow. And then flutes is, I have them turn their head joint so that obviously there's no sound, but just to give them kind of the mental illusion of distance of air, because it's all about distance when you're doing breathing exercises. For the distance, I have them just cover thumb 1 2 3 1 2 3, no pinkies, so that way the flute is technically its longest. And then for then for the altos we do just 1 2 3 1 2 3, no register key, and no octave key, sorry, and they do it too. So everyone's blowing, the longest version of their instruments, trombones in 7th. Everybody else is all vowels down. And then I forgot to mention the percussion are doing, depending on how many counts I do, I have them in unison hands in octaves. Unison octaves will go up and down a scale. So like if it's in for 2 and out for 4, they'll go up 2 notes, down 2 notes. If it's out for 8, they go up 4 notes, down 4 notes, and just kind of it's just something for them to do, while also giving them a chance to practice timing, because they can hear the metronome because there's nobody playing. So the whole band does it together, and it works out fine. Like, and it allows, it's a solution. It's not the world's most ideal, but considering it's either that or having to, for me, pause, go outside, come back in, I'm like, and you're right, your door is literally right there. Like some kids are maybe like 5 feet from it. For me, I have a little bit of a hallway, so it's going to take maybe an extra 30 seconds, and I just don't care. But no, it works out just fine. And the beginners are going to get into their breathing routine once they all get past off 5 and they're all assembled and ready to go. We'll immediately start with that. But yeah, and in addition to breathing with them, it's also, I'm excited to get into the note naming pass-offs. We already, for 6th period, they had a long lunch period, so I was able to already start it with them, and I already had a couple kids pass. Like, a couple of the tuba players already passed their note naming, so when they get their instruments, they're ready to go. But then you found those kids who were, rage quitting. And so I think my first quote of the week is going to be, the opposite of success is not failure, it's quitting. Just to motivate those kids on those note naming pass-offs who want to hate life, because it's understandable.
I have a quote of the week Keep list.
Ooh.
If you want to text me later, if you have Google Keep, I can share it with you.
Yeah, I got Google everything. I'm down. Is it 36 of them?
Because we more.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, we do a quote of the week too on our slides.
All right.
You also have access to our slides, so you can just steal whatever we're using.
Exactly.
But yeah.
I think that's it. That covers it.
I think so.
Yeah. Good
luck to everybody out there.
Yeah. The next episode is gonna be is it the summer conference episodes?
It might be SumCon. Yeah.
Wait, SumCon what?
Well, you know what.
But so yeah, I think the first it's a 2-parter where episode 1 is like the first day of SumCon and summer conference FBA, and then the second one is we did it afterward and we got the whole thing. So for the next 2 weeks, stay tuned, and we hope to hear you guys later, and talk to you guys, and hear from you guys later in terms of any feedback you have. By the way, if you have any feedback at all, feel free to reach out to us. I know it's in the outro, but it's flbandpodcast@gmail.com. And we're happy to take any feedback. If you're, for anybody who knows us personally, we'll take any and all feedback you guys have to keep giving better content and all that stuff. But I think we're ready to go, man. Take us out.
Where are we going? I'm just kidding. Yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Please reach out if you have any feedback or any episode ideas, and looking forward to the next one. Good luck out there. Stay safe, and see you in the next video.
Peace, y'all.
See you in the next episode.
There it is. Peace, y'all.
I said video. All right, everybody. Thanks again for listening. That was another episode of the Florida Band Podcast. Please follow us on YouTube and other podcast platforms, wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, you can contact us at flbandpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, stay safe, be well.